Howdy and aloha, everyone. This is James with Monotalk. Welcome. It is April the 19th, 2025, and 420 is tomorrow. So somebody's getting stoned. I might. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, I know I'm off tomorrow, so you never know. You never know. Anyway, look, I gotta tell you, I'm not perfect, but I kind of get the general idea out there. I think it was my last video. I said that, or I indicated, or implied, or mentioned, or spewed that this military border that Trump has just created from the southern border of the United States, I said it was 2 miles or something. Well, that's not the case. I was out by a couple miles, in a sense, almost a couple miles. Let me find it here real quick. Yeah, you're gonna go, oh, Jim, come on, bro.
President Trump just authorized the Department of Defense to militarize the Roosevelt Reservation along the U.S. border in California, Arizona, and New Mexico. It is a 60-foot buffer zone on a 700-mile stretch of our border that will now be considered military property. Troops can seize illegal crossers in this area. The lands will be designated national defense areas, and those who illegally cross into these areas will be trespassing on a military installation. Think there are extra charges for that, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. So she said 60 feet or 60... Wait, what's that again? What?
President Trump just authorized the Department of Defense to militarize the Roosevelt Reservation along the U.S. border in California, Arizona, and New Mexico. It is a 60-foot buffer zone on a 700-mile stretch of our border that will now be considered military property. True.
All right. So it is 60 feet and not 2 miles. A little off, but I think it's a good idea. It's getting out of hand, and we all know why. If you're not paying attention, the minimal number is 15 million. 15 million people. In the past 4 years, through the illegitimate Biden administration, just threw the doors open and let people come in. Here's an app, now you're a citizen. While slapping the face of all those probably hundreds of thousands of people that have been trying to do the right things and become an American citizen the correct way, the legal way. Legal, illegal. Legal, illegal. So it's... And the hordes of... Oh, God, deplorables, the actual deplorables that came in. And I'm not saying all of them. I know there's some... Look, I used to work on a farm, 29 years my grandfather had in Southern California, avocado ranch. And, I'd go out there many times I could, weekends and during the summers, and work my ass off with the Mexicans. And like I said, the past few decades, 400,000 to 500,000 per year. Now, in the past 4 years before Trump, recently, it's been about 4.3 million, costing us about 150 billion, and that's just the small number. And then you have a lot of murders, car accidents, not accident, whatever, just all kinds of just chaos from these extra people, costing us a lot of money. They were able to get just huge checks every month. They were able to stay in the nicest hotels. They were getting full-on Medicaid, and they were just, while everybody else is just getting, it's just, God. And we know the reason. They want to change the Census Bureau, in a sense, with the numbers and try to use them eventually for the extra votes that they hope they'll vote for. But they were voting, and it'll come out soon, and I've already kind of proved this, is that those individuals, just because they were on that IBP One app or whatever the name of the fucking app was, they were automatically registered in many cases, and they were automatically, their votes were already made for them. You'll see. You'll see. So it was just a giant, fraudulent, criminal scam, the whole fucking thing. And it's just so much, you know. It's just, what is the title of this? Social Media Saturday. For God's sakes, I'm just saying, I am just saying that there shouldn't be a Democratic Party at all by the end of this year, or at least halfway through next year. They are extremely desperate. The things they're doing, they want to put Bernie back in, who's going to be 87 years old by the time they think he's going to be able to functionally do things in the White House. And then they got this little teenager AOC with them. It's just a weird fucking combination. And this is just their last straw. They're not only desperate, they're in fear, and you can see it. They're just frantic. And like I said, if Trump does it right, which a lot of people are concerned about, and I'm going to go to somebody that left a really nice and I think a deserved a comment on one of my videos, on my last video, and hopefully she'll be on with me soon because she's making sense. What was her name? I think it was Carrie Ann. But anyway, cute as a button too. And the thing is you have to, you know. Let me go here just kind of show you. I want to show you what's going on in my old channel and what I had up. And I think it's important that we kind of look back at what a lot of us were concerned about, you know, as soon as 2019 was over and the tyrannical authoritarianism of 2020 kind of seeped in, and then for sure just they started laying down these mandated laws and all this other shit for COVID. And I was just like, whoa, what the fuck? And it just got really out of hand. And it was kind of, I had somewhat articulated, not perfectly, because, you know, I don't have a big crew of people and I don't do a lot of wonderful editing and all this other shit. I just kind of, you know, I'm a shoot from the hip kind of guy. I'm just telling you. You break into my house, I'm just going to start firing off. I'm just telling you. But here's the thing. I was trying to let everybody know about the duopoly. I go, there's a duopoly. I've been telling everybody about the fucking duopoly for a long goddamn darn time. And there's this right here.
And in this case, the sociopaths turned out to be both Democrats and Republicans.
Here comes.
The commitment to lying in Washington is far deeper and more bipartisan, even than we realize. We follow this stuff for a living. Now, you sometimes hear people say that the whole partisan system is an illusion, and that underneath the manufactured debates, the leaders on both sides are in fact secretly united in a common love of money and power, and the deception required to get them. And honestly, we can never really bring ourselves to believe that. It's just too dark. But now
I believe
it because we have seen it.
Yeah. Whoa.
Consider, and in this case, the sociopaths turned out to be both Democrats.
One more
and
time,
Republicans.
just so you get it.
The commitment to lying in Washington is far deeper and more bipartisan, even than we realize. We follow this stuff for a living. Now, you sometimes hear people say that the whole partisan system is an illusion, and that underneath the manufactured debates, the leaders on both sides are in fact secretly united in a common love of money and power, and the deception required to get them. And honestly, we can never really bring ourselves to believe that. It's just too dark. But now we do believe it because we have seen it.
Whoa.
Consider, and in this case, the sociopaths turned out to be both Democrats.
Yeah, I pointed that out, and I said, everybody's saying it was something else, the reason why Tucker was canned from Fox, and that was it. I don't care what anybody says, that's the reason. There's a ping pong match, there's a tennis match, there's a chess match. The Demoncrats and the Rhipiglians, right? They have to have this tug of war back and forth in some way, shape, or form, showing that somebody's doing something for somebody or someone. And it's just, and nobody's has, definitely from the Democrats side, the Demoncrats, I haven't seen anything. I mean, I was a Democrat. I've been a Republican, Democrat. And then I was with Green Party, and then I said, wait a second. As soon as this guy Trump put his name in the hat to run for president, 12 seasons on The Apprentice, and everybody who was on Oprah all the time, and The View, and everybody loved him and praised him on late talk show host, and he was on Letterman and Leno, just really just the American entrepreneur guy, and then all of a sudden he puts his name in the hat and everybody fucking hates him. And the reason why is because he plays to his own tune. He's never follows his own script, even with every president in the United States for the past, I would say, 20 or 30, maybe 40 years. They have their aides write, and along with them, they critique their talking points, the issues, where they stand, where they don't stand. They collaborate together to create the script on what they're going to convey to the American people, the audience, right? And what happens is these presidents in the past, they follow the script. Biden was the worst at it because he would just gaffe, or he wasn't able to mentally understand the fucking words that were coming out of his own mouth. It was pretty sad and pathetic and disgusting, and it was like elderly abuse most of the time. Just watching that whole thing was terrible. But Trump's different. He's like, you know what? I like what I'm saying here, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. Like mid-paragraph. He's reading one part, and then he just kind of just takes off over here. And he'll take off over there. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't have to. He doesn't give a fuck. And this is the thing that I've kind of started to like about that guy. And then I heard about the Russiagate, and all this other crap, and that didn't never panned out. And it's just, I get it now. He doesn't. The only thing that he does do is he's a little too nice. I know this is going to be hard for so many people to understand, but I think he's a little too nice and a little too trusting of his close advisors, whoever they are, like Mike Johnson. That guy's, in my opinion, still shit. But I think he trusts the word of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., which I think is great. I think he's listening more closely to Tulsi Gabbard, which I think is good. Pete Hegseth, which I think is great. And Pam Bondi, who's kind of been with him and on his side for a long time. They're like brother and like cousin, or it's kind of weird. They've known each other for a long time, and she's very loyal. And a lot of these people are, but there's a bunch that aren't. And this is the problem with him, is he's a little too trusting sometimes. And I think in regards to Fauci, and it's probably going to come out one day, but you won't hear from Trump, because Trump has an ego. Look, guy's got an ego. I've seen it. I've endured it. It's there. It's very, it's right in your face. But the thing is that ego kind of, it doesn't help, because he was played and fooled, like many presidents before him, by the Fauci system. Anthony Fauci is, in my professional opinion, and I've been in sales, marketing, phone, telemarketing, that is, door to door. I've done car sales. I've worked B2B, business to business. I've done all kinds of sales and marketing and advertising and stuff like that. I've been involved in a lot of this stuff, but I'm telling you, when it comes to being a pharmaceutical rep, there's one rep out there that's crushed it for a long time, and that's Anthony Fauci. You got to give the guy props. He's fooled everybody for a long fucking time, and I think he fooled Trump. Trump won't admit it, right? I don't think Trump will admit it, or maybe, and then there's always that maybe. Maybe Trump was in with the Fluvid scam. But then when he started bringing up the Wuhan, China stuff, and that's where I'm kind of going to go now, because it's Social Media Saturday, so let me kind of show you the latest in regards to COVID.gov, right? And COVID.gov is all over the Wuhan lab leak theory. That's right. It's Trump was right all along. Kind of yeah, kind of no. But here's the thing. That wasn't the big threat. I proved that. I clearly indicated in some of these videos, and there's a few that I can go back and show you, or I'll just show you now, but a lot of this information they're allowing people to say now, because you've got Dr. Drew, if you know who Dr. Drew is. He's had Naomi Wolf on. He's had Dr. Campbell on. He's had all kinds of people on, Jimmy Dore, in regards to the vaccine, right? He's had a lot, there's that algorithm coming after me, the Sentinels, the Matrix coming in already. But I think things have laxed up. I mean, I got my first channel back. I've made, I don't know, 3 or 4 appeals. And I think it has a little something to do with Trump being in office. Because I know for a fact, and we can all agree on this, especially the people that have lost their channels. Maybe some people haven't gotten it back or have been able to get it back. I know Ryan Christian, the last American Vagabond, was on my show. This show. Oh, no. Actually, it was on Stevie's show. Redneck Economics, which I believe should try to get back on. Her voice is needed. She's actually a really good commentator, and she has some good content because she's great at studying. I know that. But it was on her show, and I've had it up here as well. Is he got banned, like, just for revealing data, revealing information. We were talking always about the SPARS document and CladX, Dark Winter or Winter Storm or something like that. Anyway, a lot of information kind of letting others know that, wait a second, and this is early 2020 when they started pushing this, we need to have this super warp speed, vaccine come. It's going to save us from everything. But I proved that it wasn't saving us from anything. And I'll show you the one piece of information I think everybody should have, which I posted several times, and maybe people can understand it. Maybe I didn't write it down right, but it's a little difficult to understand. But if you go to my blog, right, and this blog is a good blog because it says, let me just go down to here, and I want you to remember, let's see, I wonder if I can play this. Hang on. Can I play this?
Of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as, if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death. I hope that's helpful.
It wasn't helpful. It was very misleading and completely the worst information you could try to put together. It's just, it never should have made sense, which it doesn't. Because what that meant, and as I'm going to show you here, that was doctored Nazi Equal, Illinois Department of Public Health. Let us all know the following quoted on live TV cable news. If you were in hospice and had already been given a few weeks to live, and then you also found to have COVID, then that would be counted as a COVID death. It means technically, even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that it was the cause of the death, but that had COVID at the time. It's just fucking retarded. That's fucking retarded. So then I then clearly indicate here, let's make sure you guys can read this. Oh shit, sorry, here we go. So I looked up some more information on it because I was digging like a hound dog. You know, hey Jordan, good to see you, buddy. Go for that city council all the way, my friend. All right, so if here, and I'll kind of go this, I'll get this to you. So the way I understood this is that it was retarded, right? And I'm going, that just doesn't seem fair because we all know the PCR tests that were created by Carrie Mullins, said that you should never use it for that. But weirdly, Carrie Mullins passed away, I think, in July of 2019, which is very odd. The one guy that was saying and that could have said on live TV that the PCR test probably isn't the thing you want to use, because you could have, it's about the immune system, the heightened level of immunity and the way your DNA works is, let me see. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll kind of try to summarize a little bit. Or if you had the way your defense system in your body, you have your white blood cells and all this stuff, and everything just kind of, let's just say if you have a cut. If you have a cut, you're going to pop positive in a PCR test. If you have an infection, you're starting to get infected, you're going to pop positive in a PCR test. If at any time your body needs to have that defensive mechanism, that it needs to fight off a flu, a disease, a cut, a bruise, or whatever, you could pop positive. So this wasn't the most accurate way at all to indicate that you had COVID. But they were using it on fucking everybody. And so if you're in the hospital and you decided you were in a car accident or you were a skateboard accident, which I've had both, or something happens where your immune system or your defensive system in your body automatically goes off, you're going to pop positive. And then there were cycles that they used to use that they set it on to make it more sensitive or less sensitive to popping positive. So it was like what they call that, a plus negative, or a positive negative positive. Anyway, if you need more information about it, I'll go look it up. But for now, let me kind of show you here, as I indicated, the CDC's top underlying conditions linked are still all marked as COVID deaths. And I think this is important for people to know. Influenza or pneumonia, that's basically, it's bronchitis, for God's sakes. That's what you were dealing with. I'm just letting you know. It was the fucking flu, you had bronchitis, whatever. And all the other things, of course, that you could have easily had to pop positive. Respiratory failure, hypertensive disease, diabetes, vascular and unspecified dementia, cardiac arrest, heart failure, renal failure, intentional and unintentional injury, poisoning, and other adverse events. Anytime your body's trying to hold on and stay alive, it's that immune system raises and that PCR test will hit. And this wasn't what it was created for. But anyway, Carrie Mullins, who thought Anthony Fauci was a fucking nut job and an idiot, it's just a big scam. He actually said, I might even have it here, the video of what he said. I'll try to find it here. So overdose had 69,000 and 29 people died in 2019. Suicide, 47,137 died in 2019. Drowning had an average of 3,400 deaths. Vehicular car accidents, 38,219. Named just a few alternative or intentional or unintentional causes of death that completely have no relation to a common flu or virus. Other medical conditions, and there are dozens, which I'll do you a favor and not factor all those other underlining deaths and unintentional into their own equation. The number that most likely have nothing to do with respiratory infection or the flu. So, if I read that correctly, if I indicated that correctly, hopefully if you understood, the numbers were never accurate. Okay, like right here. This is the best part. On April 21st of 2020, at 3:05 p.m., the Cato Institute published this headline: How one model simulated 2.2 million U.S. deaths from COVID-19 with 6 months to a year. That was within 6 months to a year. That's the fear they're throwing out at everybody, right? Why were they fearing so many people to go in the direction of some kind of medical treatment that is completely indemnified, which means you can't sue? I mean, that was locked up a while ago, and there was the Emergency Use Authorization Act, which they had to put together to make sure that the only thing left to use was the mRNA COVID-19 vaccine. That's it. So they had to downplay Johnson & Johnson, which actually I think I had that in 2019. I had a flu shot in 2019 in November. Not a big deal. I'm not a super anti-vaxxer, but I don't think our kids need 72 vaccines before the age of 18, because what I know is I got like 8 when I was a kid. That was it. I'm still fine. And I am not suicidal. I'm just letting you know that for a fact. Many other mainstream media and academia sources across the U.S. were also publishing the 2 million. They all push this number for hours and days of each other. Per the CDC, here are the total U.S. deaths per year from 2013 to 2020. Here it is. Okay? On 2013, we had 2,596,000. In 2014, we had 2,626,000. There was a difference about 29,000. Went up a little bit. 2,007,000 in 2015. 2,074,000. 31,000 difference, going up a little bit more, and then it kind of went down. 2018, there was a difference about 25,000 deaths. Kind of fluctuates in that realm. Okay, so here's the interesting part, and this is, I think, a lot of people don't understand, and I've sent this out to a lot of people saying, hey, I got this information off the CDC website, off the governmental federal websites. I proved unequivocally that their numbers of how bad this thing was not. And that is my problem. And let me kind of finish here. Let me make this a little bigger. Hopefully you can see it. What we got here? Come on, machine. There you go. There we go. Why is this thing opening up all the way? Okay, let me get it up a little bit. Here, there we go. This is an average increase of about 1.12% of deaths per year. That kind of averaged it out, right? As of 12/27/2020, the total deaths were at 2,857,000. It appears that the total death toll for the year could very well be a bit lower or right on the mark, which is pretty much right on the mark. From 2019 to 2020, it was 58. So there's a little bit, but it wasn't 200 million. It wasn't 2 point something million. Okay, and they added a few, which I'll get into in a second. Like overnight, a bunch of deaths came out of nowhere. Death toll for me let me see. As of 12/2020, deaths were 2,851. It appears that the total death toll for the year could very well be a bit lower or right. This is so for 2021, it could be a little different. Right on the mark of the increase compared to prior years. Like you're just the way it works. It's just this is how many people die in the United States. This is the way it works, right? Those death toll numbers amazingly skyrocketed to 61,700 in just 4 days. As the total deaths for the entire came to 29,000. Now that's weird. And I'm gonna go through this. I think I need to slow down. I'm a little excited about this part because I'm able to get this information out, which I think is huge. All right. As of December 27, 2020, the total deaths were at 2,851,438. It appears that the total death toll for the year could very well be a bit lower or right on the mark of the increase compared to prior years. However, again, per the CDC's own numbers, those death toll numbers amazingly skyrocketed to 61,706 in just a matter of 4 days. And I watched this in real time as I was watching these numbers monthly, right? And I was getting all this information. Note, the first COVID case discovered in the U.S. was on January 20th of 2020. So let's give these numbers an extra 20 days, as we could probably see another 300K people die of COVID, and not from a car accident or a suicide or any other underlying condition in a matter of 17 days, right? So I'm kind of factoring all that in. But if you go here, and I've already kind of went through that, I kind of redid that because I found out some more information on it. And I should be going through the social media, but I jumped into this and I got to get it out of the way. Okay, that's part of that. I've already got that information. Okay, and then right here has the model of some. Besides that number being a load of crap, and Fauci telling the U.S. on March 11th that the flu could reach 10 times, these are his own words, 10 times more lethal than the seasonal flu, which it basically was. An outright lie, not a simply mistaken miscalculation. A lie led to this subjugation, oppression, fascism, tyranny that most supposed health professionals are now calling science, right? The science, remember the science, right? Let's see what the numbers actually are saying, because at the end of the year, many more inquisitive experts, other than yourself, were actually questioning authority and the sources regarding COVID-19 numbers, in the case the death toll numbers. That's just me. That's my thing. Question authority and its sources at every turn. That's what I've always said. So I went over this already, and these numbers here in the middle, through 2013 to 2020, and I kind of showed you. Notice that the increase somewhat doubled, but nowhere near 100K, 200K, 300K, what they were trying to tell us, right? Wait. So per the CDC on 12/31/2020, a total of 2,913,144 U.S. people died in the U.S. for the year of 2020 in 13 days, right? Later, on 1/13/21, they added 334,162 more people that died. I'm going to say it again. These are the numbers I have. This is the reason this channel got stripped, is I clearly indicated in these slides what was going on, and this could take me down again. But I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna keep a copy of this one too, and I have a copy of the old one. Right? I'll say the numbers again. They added 300 in a matter of 13 days. They added 334,160, and I never did. Anybody ever see those? Did anybody ever see that number? You know, just during the cold and flu season, I get it, but they're saying, and remember again, how they said it, how it worked, and then here we have Bricks pretty much saying the same thing.
There are other countries that if you had a pre-existing condition, and let's say the virus caused you to go to the ICU and then have a heart or kidney problem, some countries are recording that as a heart issue or a kidney issue and not a COVID-19 death. Right now, we're still recording it, and some countries are recording that as a heart issue or a kidney issue and not a COVID-19 death. Right
And she looks over at Fauci. Look.
now, we're still
Right? Tony, right?
reporting it, and the great thing about having
Right.
forms that come in and a form that has the ability to mark it as
Yeah. Wait, the ability to what?
COVID-19 infection.
Market COVID. That's what she said. What?
The ability to mark it as COVID-19 infection.
Oh, mark
the
it.
intent
Oh.
is right now that if someone dies with COVID-19,
The intent.
we're counting that.
They're going to be counting that. Okay, so there you go. I don't know why I'm back there. All right. And it's all right here, and I showed you the reasons and why they made up and all this other shit. It's all fucking right there. But here's. Let me just read on to this, just so we can make sure that you kind of fully understand what's going on here. I don't want you to miss anything here, because it's important. Jordan, welcome. Let me go back to here. So there it is. 334,000. Nobody heard of that. All of a sudden, 334 people die in a matter of 13 days, and nobody ever said a fucking word. But it was slipped into the big numbers. Just out of nowhere. Right? There's a war here. There's a war there. There's some building or shooting over there. But, 334,000 people. Let's not talk about that. Because you know what? It's a little too fucking obvious that we just pumped up those numbers out of fucking nowhere. That's it. That's the reason. The average per month for the past 5 years, about 260,000, give or take a few thousand, but in the matter of 13 days, 334,162 croaked in the U.S. Looks like somebody's trying to play catch up pretty quick to get to those numbers they keep stating that it's at. If you remember, we were all following numbers. They kept trying to. There was more and more. There were these people on YouTube with these counters, and these numbers were just escalating. And I was watching. I had them up on a few of my channels. I might even have it here. I might even have it in here somewhere. In one of my slides. But anyway. I digress a bit. All right. Myself and the millions are watching the numbers being fudged and manipulated to fit the predator class or big pharma to make sure that they'll appear to be on par with what they've been bullshitting us for us all with. Hilariously and pathetically, they didn't notice that their COVID-19 death toll numbers weren't adding up until the end of this year. It just wasn't moving in the direction they wanted to, so bam, they hit us with this giant number. They didn't say anything, but at least it added to that number. Nobody fucking talked about it. Jimmy Dore didn't talk about it. Conver Couch didn't talk about it. Hardlands Media didn't talk about it. Nobody. Nico House didn't talk about it. Okay, Slow Newsday didn't talk about it. Misty from whatever didn't talk about it. I mean, nobody understood what was going on, but I was following extremely closely into what the fuck these people were doing, because I knew right off the bat that it was bullshit. There's just no fucking way. There's just no fucking way. Yeah, we must demand to see the death certificates of all these people died and verify each and every single casualty from 120 to that amount of time. The national audit needs to happen. And that's what's really interesting to me right now. And this kind of brings up why I'm talking about this girl that made this comment, because I'm just as concerned as she is, that are they going to fucking talk about it? Are they going to talk about the course events that had happened? In here, I clearly state that the Democrats and the Republicans, mostly the Democrats, from 2019 to 2020 were raking in more campaign money and donations from Big Pharma than like 3 or 4 times than they ever had. I put these numbers in here. Just Pfizer, 2 million, Mr. McCoy, Johnson & Johnson, They're just, Merrick. Everybody knows Merrick, right? And then I what else did I put here? Now he's the VAERS vaccine residence reporting system. If you look at that looks really bad. Moderna Mats, Social Science Today. There's a lot of good information in here. If you want the link to it, let me know. I'll let you look at it. You can grab links off of it. And then I showed how Big Pharma actually works. Right? Anyway, I'm going to get to more of this in just a second. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back. Aloha. Wait, aloha, 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 aloha. still on. Okay. All right. Howdy, aloha, I'm back again. You know what I was decided? I had to take an important call and some information I had to do. And something else to go to the bathroom. But anyway, I am going to go back to here. And I think I might have some information on that. I'm just going to go through this whole thing so you can see it. All right, there's some good stuff here. Please, if you are able to, get some screenshots. I don't know, what is that for? Why is that even on there? It's annoying. I talked about how the pharmaceutical industry pays number of free samples provided, likelihood of doctors to prescribe drugs. Their marketing to physicians is about $20 billion, but prescription drug sales is about $300 billion. I got that back in like 2020. And then what does she say?
Fairness is a beautiful word. It has a certain radiant symmetry to it. It is challenging to define, but we know it when we see it. We know it when people treat us fairly. We also know it when they do not. And unfairness has a profound impact and a lasting effect. History, literature, music, they're all littered with powerful examples of...
And perilous for them to pursue such a course.
Please welcome His Excellency, Governor Andrew Cuomo. Thank you for everything you're doing to keep our state safe and the public informed.
People are not comprehending the magnitude of the problem because governors like Abbott plowed ahead with reopening the state, even as new cases continue to increase.
I know that you've been portrayed as some sort of a homecoming king of this crisis, and a headline from Jezebel Help, I think I'm in love with Andrew Cuomo.
Wow. They see tough questions to ask a Republican presidential candidate.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you also. Now, I'm gonna ask you a tough question. I perceive that you were treated unfairly. I perceive that there were times in your congressional career and as a presidential candidate that there was a different set of rules applied to you. Was that my own bias of liking you, or have you perceived that if you're a little bit out of the Democrat mainstream, maybe they don't treat you the same?
Your perception would be accurate, sir. I am not the only one who has been subjected to this bias that we've seen across the media, and unfortunately, I think none of this would come as a surprise to the American people who are watching this show right now, and it's led to this distrust in a media that should be presenting itself as true journalists with unbiased and neutral information from which people who are watching can draw their own conclusions. And the reason for this is we've got a media, frankly, that's driven by profits in how do we get the highest ratings, how do we get the most clicks in media, and especially when you've got newsrooms that have been moved into the entertainment divisions of these massive media corporations, the news becomes entertainment. And what is entertaining? Well, drama and conflict sells. So let's see. And I saw this through the debates in the presidential campaign especially, but there's so many examples of let's see how we can fuel this conflict culture and divisiveness to drive up those ratings, to drive up those profits without any regard for the detrimental and destructive, divisive consequence in tearing apart our country. And obviously big tech and social media is doing the exact same
all proven to be correct
thing, and this is where action needs to be taken to hold these corporations responsible for those consequences. I think reinstating the fairness doctrine is a good first step, but it doesn't go nearly far enough to address the enormity of this problem. We, the people, have to change the social norms, just as we did with big tobacco that used to promote cigarettes as something as happy and healthy when it was actually destructive. We need to do the same thing with these for-profit media engines who are tearing our country apart, and say that this is not acceptable. Because if we don't do that, if we just stand by and let this status quo continue, our country will continue to be torn apart. We will be torn apart as Americans, and the...
It's still happening. All right, let's kind of move down. We get it, Tulsi. You're right there. One of the top writers of the UK and great supporter of Biden, Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, just posted this. What did they post? Let's see. Let's see. Copy link. I'm going to open it in a new tab. See what they post here. It just goes to the media. It's. I probably have to go to the Wayback Machine to get that. But anyway, everybody lives in California needs to get a copy of this new mask and are required through California Flyers, California Mask Medical Exam Flyer. All this other shit. And let's see what else. New York Times, critical thinking as we're taught to do it isn't helping in the fight against misinformation. If this isn't a what the fuck moment for you, then this is good. I mean, they were telling us to be stupid at the time. They were saying you need to not peek out the door. You were told not to do your own due diligence, do your own research. I mean, as I've always said, the tree of knowledge, which can be used for good and evil, or can affect you in both ways. So it's up to you and your ethics, your morals, your folkways, your norms, to make these decisions on your own. Which, we're adults. Let us fucking do it. But they wouldn't. That's why they took this channel down several times. They didn't like people debating, talking. That's why they didn't like TikTok. People were starting to understand what was going on. There was information that they were restudying. Even some of it was outlandish. Maybe some of it, when we talk about the flat earth fucking people or the people that, lizard shit and all this other stuff that's been brought up. I'll just, whatever. But at least it's free speech. And you were able to have, before 2020 came around, definitely before 2021, when my channel actually got down, I found out in January 20th of 2021. That's when this channel got taken down. Like for 4 fucking years. Right? And that wasn't under Trump. Just letting you know. And they're saying, don't go down the rabbit hole. Critical thinking, right? Critical thinking, as we're taught to do it, isn't helping in the fight against misinformation. Yeah, because their information is final and misinformation is not even, whatever they claim, Snoops, fact checkers, community guidelines here, it's just, and then we're finding out, and we've already found out, and everybody knows that it was all just a big fucking push to silence us, to violate criminally, in my opinion, to strip us away from our constitutional First Amendment rights. And I am still debating whether I want to sue the company that I'm Google, YouTube, etc. for what they did. And it sucked because I had I had 364 or something videos, a lot of them personal family memories, and just stripped away. Just because I'm asking questions. I'm not the Taliban or the Al-Qaeda or whatever cutting people's heads off, and I'm not fucking showing porn or anything. I'm just having debates. I'm having conversations. I'm questioning authority and its sources at every turn. That's my God-given constitutional rights. Right? I have a different perspective. I have different conclusions. I have a different way of perceiving things. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? I'm not saying that 2 + 2 = 5, like we were told to believe by mainstream media. There were some fucking woke people saying that shit. Right? The New York and then here's an article. In the New York City home to more than 3 million immigrants from all over the world, coronavirus vaccination rates are the lowest, and many immigrant in place of data releases last week. So they were telling everybody, you must go get the vaccine for elderly father. You must go get that. They were pushing people to do it. The virus slammed her neighborhood. She can't find her father. A vaccine did it. You know, they had so many various ways of getting people to take this thing. It was just fucking, it's almost like it was intentionally some kind of like bioweapon or something. It sounds like that was. Moderna's own website, they clearly state the vaccine is an upper system that alters protein. And I've got this link right here if you ever want it. It's right there. And so people, I mean, and then Dr. Dr. Shiva actually had some good stuff, and there's his phone number right there. Another one of the most monsters behind this pandemic exposed. And there's a link right here for it. Please share. Unlimited Hangouts did a really did a good piece on that. That was way after I had started doing my shit. You have to read this page. It is terrifying. Moderna's own lit is saying it's not a vaccine so much as a software platform, an operating system that alters protein, and they can have updates. Their words. These are their words. It's crazy. And then I showed that when Fauci took his injection in his left arm, he patted his right arm in an interview, saying, "Oh, I got it on my right arm, but you never got it on your right arm. You did it because you probably didn't get it at all." That was to see if people would be responsible for saying stupid shit on the internet. Let me go back to that. You can read that. It's kind of silly, but I was trying to get people to hold themselves responsible for trying to get you to take it. I actually sent it to one of my family members. I said, "Why don't you read this? And if you're correct and it doesn't affect anybody negatively, then you're going to put your finances and your life savings down on that." Nobody would, right? Nobody would. You find it amazing. I find it amazing how everyone has no trust or basically loathes the military-industrial complex, big banks, big Wall Street, big oil, big coal, big fracking. This is most of the Democrats, by the way. Big nuclear, a.k.a. the money machines of the parasitic predator class, right? The predator class. That's who the globalists, the NGOs are, the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, all those places. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Obama Foundation, Clinton Foundation. But for some extreme odd reason, Big Pharma is now trustworthy, credible, and automatically gets a free pass regarding the pandemic or vaccine. I mean, seriously? It was amazing to me. That was the most amazing part. As I'm standing hand in hand at one point with all these people that hated all this stuff. They even talked about how bad opioids were, and they still got the same opioid commercial on YouTube that you might even see come up every once in a while. You're struggling with opioid addiction, this is what you need to do, blah, 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 blah. So these granite-like words and these people dying, it's pretty bad. And that commercial's still on. An accurate and clear factual study by Ronald B. Brown, a study never challenged or disputed to be wrong by a mainstream media that proved that Fauci and his claim that COVID is 10 times more fatal than the seasonal flu. And this goes into my numbers that I showed you earlier. And if you ever want, you can always get this. If you ever want to be in this shared link, I'll let you go in there and you can copy and paste and look at everything you want. Just let me know in the comments. There's always a way to get in touch with me, either Facebook or Twitter. I'm always accessible. I'm always accessible. This is the lie that put the face, diaper, and the lockdowns upon all of us. That's what happened. And then it shows clear, and then I've got this link in regards to masks. And then I just got all this fucking information, and a lot of it's in my blog, by the way. A lot of the stuff I pulled out of my blog, I've been consistently 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever times a month, adding more and more information showing that 2020 and flu-19 and a lot of Demoncrats and Republicans that were behind it, I want to definitely like to say Jim Justice, were pushing everybody to take the genocidal bioweapon. And many took it. And then boom, there goes your lineage. I'm just telling you. And people were having the hardest time getting pregnant. There was menstrual problems, just tons and tons of issues, myocarditis. Right? And then, they, like I said, they had to take down hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, and also the J&J. Remember when they were saying J&J was bad because at the time, actually, it didn't have the mRNA, but it was just your regular flu shot. So they were trying to get rid of that and make that look bad. So you couldn't use everything you could. That's why that's the way they were able, in a sense, by law, or that's what the feeling was, I guess, at the time, to use the Use Authorization Act to put whatever they could out there, push it through at warp speed. Sorry, got to use it because it happened. To get you to take this thing. And many people did. Right? There's just way too much factual information to prove that it's all a dynamic, and death toll numbers have been unequivocally proven to be completely inflated and wrong. But nah, let's all keep believing, trusting, adoring Big Pharma, Big Hospital, Wall Street, Big Elderly Care, Big Psychology, Big everything, instead of just using our own brains. Instead of just, you know, the great thing about me is my mom was a private investigator. So we just constantly questioned everything. We had to see every angle from every aspect and figure out where this guy or girl or this company or this entity or whatever was being sued or countersued or whatever, subpoenaed. What direction are they going? We had to find out and dig in areas that most people wouldn't even look. I mean, I've talked to doctors, lawyers, congressmen, city council members. I've talked to candidates for Democratic Party, Green Party, Republican Party. I've gotten lots of different perspectives. I've and it's all in here. It's all in my YouTubes. You'll see it. You can go through it. There's a bunch of them. There's 300 and something of them, 364. Right? The warp speed experimental vaccine proceeded altered DNA, and it's not a vaccine. Yeah, I'm telling you. The first court case against mandatory vaccine attorney interview. There it is right there. Your science is brought to you and paid for. Oh, what is that? What is it brought to you and paid for by? Oh, just your face.
Ask me why I don't trust doctors and scientists. So allow me to explain. Reason number one. Beginning in the 1920s, tobacco companies sought to exploit the public's trust in medical professionals after a huge spike in lung cancer led people to express concerns over the dangers of smoking. The first cigarette company to use physicians in their ads was American Tobacco, maker of Lucky Strike. In 1930, it published an ad claiming 20,679 physicians agree that Luckies are less irritating on the throat. I guess the most important consensus here is the consensus that everybody likes money. Here's another good one. Give your throat a vacation. Smoke a fresh cigarette. Viceroys, filter the smoke. As your dentist, I would recommend Viceroys. What about this one? More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Damn, doctors were really stupid back then. I wonder what people are gonna say in 50 years about our doctors. Reason number two. In 1932, the U.S. Public Health Service and the CDC conducted a study on untreated syphilis in black men. A highly unethical study that's remembered today simply as the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. It initially involved 600 black men, 399 with syphilis, 201 without, all of which were not aware of their participation in the study. Researchers lied to the men and told them they were being treated for bad blood, but in truth, they didn't receive any treatment, not even after penicillin became the drug of choice to treat syphilis in 1947. Although initially projected to last 6 months, the study went on for 40 years and resulted in over 100 preventable deaths. What's more disturbing is local doctors were recruited and compensated to lie to the men and withhold treatment. Autopsy and physician assessments were done at local hospitals, and a number of Tuskegee Institute faculty and staff were involved in the scam. Reason number three. In the 1960s, an increase in heart disease led people to express concerns over the ill health effects of sugar. So sugar industries shut down, sugary products were pulled from grocery shelves, and the government informed the public of the dangers of sugar and saved millions of lives. I'm just kidding. These psychopaths don't care about human life. What they did do was pay researchers at Harvard University to shift the blame of sugar's carnage to fat. The researchers overstated the consistency of the literature on fat and cholesterol while downplaying the studies on sugar. The study that falsely blamed fat and cholesterol for heart disease was later published in the New England Journal of Medicine, and the funding and role of the sugar industry was not disclosed. Big shocker there. Reason number 4. In March of 2019, a California man was awarded $80 million in damages after he claimed that glyphosate, the active ingredient found in the herbicide Roundup, was the cause of his terminal cancer. Monsanto was aware of the link between glyphosate and cancer since the early 1980s, when a study done by the company found a statistically significant increased risk of cancer in mice who were treated with glyphosate. The EPA was alarmed by the finding, but Monsanto dismissed the results, saying it wasn't definitive because, get this, a single mouse who was not exposed to glyphosate also developed a tumor. The agency wanted the study replicated, but Monsanto refused. So why was Monsanto able to say no to the EPA, the agency responsible for regulating their products? Well, because pesticide companies quite literally bankroll the EPA's pesticide office. Not only did Monsanto manipulate scientific data and collude with corrupt regulators, they also manipulated the media to gain favorable public opinion on their products. They planted helpful articles in traditional news outlets, they discredited and harassed journalists who refused to parrot the company's propaganda, and they secretly funded front groups to amplify pro-Monsanto messaging across social media platforms. And last but not least, reason number 5. In the year 2020, people began questioning the use of masks, lockdowns, and experimental mRNA vaccines as successful mitigation strategies for the spread of a virus. To counter opposing expert opinions, public health leaders and campaigns strategically recruited people with large social media followings to use their platforms to push the unconstitutional public health measures. They danced like circus monkeys. They cried alligator tears of joy for the rollout of injectable Jonestown Kool-Aid. And they turned a blind eye to the neglect of the very vulnerable communities they vowed to protect.
Yeah, they
It
did.
resulted in countless deaths by suicide and delayed medical treatment, doubled poverty across the globe, and ultimately caused the economic collapse of entire nations. So what's the moral here? Scientists and doctors can be bought. Celebrities, social media influencers, and the media can be bought. Everyone can be bought, including me. That's why this video was brought to you by Forbidden Clothes. Check out their website at forbiddenclothes.com.
Yeah, good for you, girl. She's still up. She's fucking brilliant. Has some good content. Great at editing. Great at the whole laying it out there. I'm not in that spot. I just kind of throw it out there. But you can always ask and check, and you can find out information through just contacting me. Just contact me. All right. Science is bot. That's it. Parasite Predator class. What's this one? I got to see what this is here. Let's see. New tab. I'm curious. I'm going through it, man. Fuck it. It's 10:54 p.m. I'm going to do it, bro. Oh, wait. Where am I? Oh, they took that one down. Look at that. Took it down. This is not available in here. It's probably one of my second or third channels or something. They deleted a lot of my shit. Let's go back. Yeah. So this is what I clearly stated to everybody, right? This is what I stated. The predator class of the corporate governance pay for the controls mainstream media $1 billion bills, not you. So why in the fuck would they give a shit about you? Yeah, exactly. These giant multi-billion-dollar studios, these people get paid gazillions of dollars. It doesn't come from you. It comes from the suffering of you. From your suffering, these people make a shit ton of money. And that's the game. That's the mainstream media game. They don't care how they say it, what they say it, as long as it's scripted and written by their advertisers, big pharma, big whoever, big death, big whatever. They're going to say it, and you're going to believe it. And sadly, many of you still do. And that's just fucking retarded. But anyway, I love that word. All right. most dangerous weapon in the world is not a gun, and most dangerous is a weapon. Is a media that is controlled by a government that is controlled by the 1%. How more eloquently could you put that? Right? I mean, that pretty much sums it all up right there. That's what you're seeing. That's what we're going through. I mean, for frick's sakes, people. Wake the hell up. Nope. You stay in the coma. Coma's, all things bright and beautiful. Just stay in your little coma and your little fucking dreamscape and whatever you're in. Just stay there while the rest of the world burns down. Right? Let me see. I'm going to kind of get through here. This one kind of stated, I find it amazing how everyone has no trust in our basic military banks. I just kind of put that in there before. I showed right here, I show how academia was compromised as well. This is the World Economic Forum website. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gives the London School in Hygiene and Topical Medicine $40 million plus. And a lot of these schools get a lot of money from these NGOs to put out these papers on certain drugs, certain this, and they all kind of, I had Andrew Kaufman on my show, and he pointed out how that happens and why they do it, and it's about the money. It's always, like she said, everybody can be bought. I think that's kind of old. And then we show Harvard gets money from fucking China, right? That's always important. And then I clearly state, good boy, now keep that fear of vaccine going. Big Pharma Congress, here's your money, right? And there, I was showing right here, and I was posting this a few times. And that little picture at the top left or right to you, maybe, shows how the big pharma kind of feeds doctors, and the mainstream media feeds you all their bullshit, and you believe it. And you believe it, and it comes through influencers and all kinds of fucking people. I'm not an influencer. I think the most I've ever received in a month on my show was like $200, maybe $200. Right, for keeping the show down. And I've had this, I think the total I've ever gotten for anybody to help with my show is maybe the total has got like $242, right? I don't advertise anything. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't know. But I just try to do this because what I do care about, what I do truly care about, you may not agree or you may agree, but I care about my kids. I care about myself. There's no doubt. I'm not suicidal. I fucking love myself. Not like you think I love, but you know what I'm saying. I care about me. I care about my kids. I care about their kids. I'm a grandpa. I care about my neighbors, my community. I care about my county, my state, my country. And I care about people across the planet, too. I want everybody to be able to live the 70s life, baby. To free to go and do and this and that and everything. I want people to be able to do this, that, and the other thing. Increase global anxiety and paranoia from COVID outbreak. And they were showing this just to scare people. Here's the big scare. Here it is. It's all right there. Right? And they were advertising that. Oh, what's this? Is this still it?
SARS was also a coronavirus in 2002. It infected 8,000 people, and it killed about 775. It had a mortality of about 9 to 10%. So that's only 8,000 people. In about a year, in the 2.5 months that we've had this coronavirus, as you know, we now have multiples of that. So it clearly is not as lethal, and I'll get to the lethality in a moment, but it certainly spreads better. Probably for the practical understanding of the American people, the seasonal flu that we deal with every year.
Which is what it was. For fuck's sakes. This guy has a patent on the coronavirus. I want you guys to look into Dr. David Martin. It's in my fucking blog. I'll put it up in here if you want to see it. It's really simple. It's the Fauci dossier. This guy has got his hands all over everything that's been supposedly killing people for a long time. But in the background, he's got a lot of money invested in these vaccine companies and these medicated opioid companies. It's crazy. It just totally leaves. He's just stay calm and conform. straight through the slaughter entrance. That's what this is all about. From day one. Right? Here's January 2020.
China says the number of people infected by a mysterious respiratory virus has more than tripled over the weekend. There are now 218 confirmed cases of the new coronavirus virus, most of them in Wuhan.
The coronavirus virus. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. It's fucking 5 minutes long, but it just goes through just a bunch of more bullshit. The Institute for Disease and Modeling Global Health. The current study is that the best of knowledge is no study for the polluted individual level temporal viral load thematic shreds. This is kind of interesting. This is a little beyond my laureate type non-existent medical experience, which I get it, but if you need more information, you can look into this and see if this provides any information for anybody else to do with SARS-CoV-2, ongoing reopening business, schools, borders. But then they started making these. COVID-19 essentials. Go to your local mall. If you're allowed to go in, bring your mask. They got designer masks in there that you can wear. That fucking really happened. That's probably California. I guarantee that's California. Those shorts that girl's wearing pretty much indicates California. And there's my buddy. This guy, you got to watch him. He's got a lot of interesting information. January 25th. Court says lockdowns catastrophically wrong over mortality and normal business. That's a Ryan Christian with The Last American Vagabond. I also pointed out, and this is the Wuhan part where it came up. The 6 started coming out of nowhere. Let me see. I think I want to play this one.
High security at laboratories handling coronavirus. This idea that the
now on the leadership of China to explain why the theory and the hypothesis that it could be engineered is wrong.
Research by this scientist.
Let's see what this one is. Let me just move this out of the way. I think this is the Luc Montagnier.
Montagnier, bonjour. Bonjour. Et merci d'être avec nous. Faut-il le rappeler, vous êtes prix Nobel de médecine et c'est vous qui êtes à l'origine de la découverte du VIH. Vous travaillez.
Luc Montagnier, I found this and did I translate it?
La séquence plus grande du coronavirus.
Alors je suis pas sûr de comprendre tout ce que vous dites. C'est-à-dire que dans ce virus, il y a une part de VIH.
Voilà, c'est ça. Le matériel génétique du virus est un long ruban d'ARN, n'est-ce pas?
Let me see what I said here. Yeah, this is back up. Oh my God, I wasn't able to do this before.
Interesting information. Take it whatever way you want, but it's really simple. A person by the name of Luc Montagnier was recently on a TV show in France, and he basically said, hey, that coronavirus or COVID-19 is and absolutely is man-made. He is a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Nobel Prize winner, not Peace Prize.
2008. He's the one who recognized and found the HIV virus. So if anybody knows what's going on with viruses, this guy does, because he's found the trace of AIDS/HIV, or the protein of it, attached to one of the stems or the
spore of the coronavirus. I was still learning at the time.
Shafts, anyway, that come off the top of this thing. It kind of looks like. Let me just show you this. Right? these little sprouts, little red puffy things, I guess, were manipulated. They were tampered with. They were man-made, orchestrated, created, and
engineered.
There are only certain laboratories that have that capability. One of them is Wuhan, China.
Oh, that's it.
Bill Gates laboratory in Wuhan.
Yeah.
Look it up. Now, with this being known and this now being a fact, that it was now, you can't discard this, man. Okay,
On travaille sur ordinateur avec un collègue et puis c'est tout. On n'a pas d'expérience, on peut dire, mais l'expérience vient de la maladie elle-même, de toutes les mesures qui sont faites actuellement dans les laboratoires sur les patients.
Et vous êtes arrivé à certaines conclusions.
See, what he found, just to kind of sum it up for you, is that the only way you can attach HIV, AIDS, to this coronavirus created by Anthony Fauci in the Wuhan lab, you'd have to do it by hand. It's not a natural occurrence. That's it. And then this chick comes on and says, I don't know if this is still up. It might not be. I think it's just a picture. Is that a picture? Or? Yeah.
And we're going to do
here
that
we
again
go.
right now. Li Mengyan is the virologist who says she has evidence about where this pandemic actually came from. We're happy to have her on tonight. Doctor, thanks so much for coming on.
Hi,
So-
Tucker. Hi, Tucker. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that you've published some of your research. You're planning on publishing more soon. Give us, for a non-scientific audience, a summary of why you believe this virus came from a lab in Wuhan, please.
Okay, briefly, from my first report, I can present the solid scientific evidence to our audience that this virus, COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 virus, actually is not from nature. It is a man-made virus created in the lab based on the China military discovered and owned the very unique bat coronavirus, which cannot affect people, but after the modification, becomes a very harmful virus at now. So,
Yeah, I just conveniently she's been around for a while. That's all I got to say about that. What's in here? Nothing. That's weird. Well, you had to delete that. Delete. All right. What the fuck is this? Who in the fuck is this? Partly false. And it says, I don't know what that says. Let's see what else. What does this girl say? Chinese citizen journalist Zhang Xing jailed for reporting on early COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan. We got, yeah, and I was proving in here that, okay, back in September 18, 2020, I posted COVID-19 or coronavirus can also lead to very serious side effects as well as brain deterioration. These side effects include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, dry mouth and bad breath, anxiety, and depression. Research reports ongoing structural brain alterations with extensive white matter changes in all lobes are rare, and the few examinations supposed COVID-19 to mainly affect the cortex and the hippocampal, thalamic, and the hypothalamic structures. So I posted that in September 18th. It's still up in 2019 in September, a day later, but it was still up a couple of months later, 11/20/2020, and it's still up. It's still up to this day on my Facebook, by the way. It's still up, and what this is, I replaced methamphetamine with the words COVID-19 and coronavirus, and created this completely bullshit post on the terrible side effects of meth, not COVID-19, but it's still up on Facebook. Are you understanding this scam? So the more you could say how bad or how evil or how fearful, how threatening the corona flu-19, the more you weren't censored. And I was doing that left and right just to show my point. So they wanted the fear to happen so that you would eventually take the shot. That's it. That's it. The goal is and has always been to take the shot. And then, you know, this is how you're supposed to behave in an elevator, right? Hopefully you're seeing that. I've got it on the right. Yeah, what the fuck? Right? This is how you're supposed to stay on the elevator back in 2020, 2021, and parts of 2022, I guess. It's just fucking, what the fuck? It's so crazy. Right? CDC Thanksgiving guidelines. Avoid singing and shouting. Keep music levels low. Limit alcohol. You know? And then I put in the resist the reset for sure, right? I'm like, what the fuck? Fear, bullshit fascism, you know. That's what it was. That's what they did to everybody. They fucking, you know, what the fuck else do we need to post to tell you that you're all being fucked? Literally played. Happy birthday song is danger. This is on Fox News, by the way. They were saying that the happy birthday song is danger. When you're running out of ways to fearmonger, here it is. I don't know if they were mocking this or whatever they were fucking doing, but it's ridiculous. And we already went through this. I already showed you the numbers on that. Is this one? This is, we got a lot of stuff in here. What's going on? All right. The novel coronavirus spreading across the globe is 10 times. I'm not engaging in playing or hoping any longer. At this point, you're either a fucking obedient tool for them or you're fucking pissed off. There is no fucking anything. It's fucking sandemic. The corporate governance of your fucking morons with a ton of help from mainstream media, academia, easily social engineering your dumbasses. Sides, pick a side. Yeah, that's where I was. I was really trying to fucking tell people, man. Right? Enough is enough. Manifesto declares that we have taken an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Oath will take seriously according to where... I don't know what that was for. For some reason, I put that in. I'm still trying to figure out why. Moraga County. I think it was just information or something. But I'm going to go through here because I'm still... Let's see if I can go back in my list. And here, I think the new normal... Let's see if it's in here. Because I did mention Kerry Mullins, and I think it's in here somewhere. Oh, this is ongoing with me. I had tons and tons of information. Tons and tons of information. Right? Remember that picture that I created? That everybody that's positively get affected by this. Right? This is old. The pharmaceutical industry spent $275 million on lobbying expenses to help shape what became the Affordable Care Act. A comprehensive review of the tax filing found an example of the Big Pharma donated $14 million in 2015 along with 300 organizations, including disease advocates. It's just a big fucking scam. With Big Pharma. I have an idea. Let's drug half of the population. I have a better idea. Let's get everyone to pay us for those drugs. I have the best idea. Let's call it medicine. And these are proposals. I've told everybody, and they've been brought up by lots of people, and Fauci was part of this. A lot of his people that were involved with him. Dark Winter, Exercise Hall, Air Force Base, Washington, D.C., create fictional scenario depicting a covert smallpox attack on U.S. citizens. Right, that's a proposal. Right, here's another one. Atlantic Storm. Atlantic Storm was Minnesota's top secret exercise completed in 2005 by a Center for Biosecurity, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, and Center for Transatlantic Relations, and Johns Hopkins University, one of the biggest fucking scams on the planet. The exercise scenario designed to mimic the Summit Transit Leaders Force to a Bioterrorist Act. Right, that's another and then I point out Clad X exercise. And what the fuck? That was look that up. Of course, right here, here's event 201, the whole thing. Right? Here's that scale again. And then I kind of reworded it later. The most dangerous weapon is not a gun. The most dangerous weapon is the media that is controlled by the government, that is controlled by the predator class, corporate elite, 1%. And then I put a syringe there through media. That makes sense. That makes sense. If you're listening and pay attention, it all makes sense. Right? Robert Reich is tax breaks for billionaires or handouts. He's such a shithead. Biohazard, essential workers. In a time of a supposed great, deadly, and horrific pandemic, the plague across the world, your supposed public servants care so much about you that they provide you with no health care, no hazard pay, no living wage. They take away your jobs, they destroy your small businesses. They just totally screwed us. They wrecked everybody. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad. It was just, man, they really did a number to us. This whole freaking thing. Very well orchestrated. This business was taken out. I can show that. What else we got? I've kind of showed this one already. I kind of redefined it. And then Gavin Newsom was having a party while everybody's told to stay 6 feet apart, wear your mask, not see your grandma dying or grandpa dying or some sick person, and not giving care to anybody, or not being, you had to fucking wear like a hazmat suit to hug each other. And there he is, Gavin Newsom, hanging out with his buddies, hip to hip, elbow to elbow, no mask on, partying like fucking rock stars, and it's like a $200 a plate golf course restaurant or something like that. While he's telling everybody to fucking mask up, right?
On the minimized mixing, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge something just before we go into the...
This is his...
On the minimized mixing, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge something just before we go into the Q&A. And that is, very soberly acknowledge that a few weeks ago, I was asked to go to a friend's 50th birthday. My wife and I, a friend that I've known for almost 20 years.
This one right here. Right there. There's the birthday. Let's see what else he says.
On the minimized mixing, I would be remiss. Almost 20 years, and a friend that had, put a lot of time and energy into his 50th birthday. It was in Napa, which was in the orange status, relatively loose compared to some other counties. It was to be an outdoor restaurant, and we started the program started at 4 o'clock. It was one of those early.
It wasn't an outdoor restaurant. This is not outdoors. This is indoors, under a roof, an enclosed area. And it was just such bullshit. I swear to God. What the fuck is this? TheStrangerThanFiction.com, Critical Insight, Pump.
We're going to a different place, which is a new normal.
A new normal.
A new normal.
A new normal. A new normal.
New normal.
Embrace the new normal.
The new normal. The new normal.
The new normal. New normal.
This new normal is going to look very, very different.
Not normal, but a new normal. The new normal.
New normal. There will be a new normal. A new normal.
New normal.
A new.
I just don't want you guys to forget what we all went through. I don't want anybody to forget what the fuck everybody went through, man. I want you to stay sane. I want you to be clear. I want you to have clarity. I want you to breathe. I want you to understand what the fuck they just did to us for the past 4 years. And Trump needs to stay the fuck away from these people. And if he starts butting up with any of them, be careful. That's all I'm going to say. Bill and Melinda Gates donates $50 million to Alzheimer's. Yeah, you know that money goes right back in their pockets. It's necessary that we get vaccinated. I'm going to get it. as soon as I can. So they pushed the Latinos to get it, right? And then they pushed fucking everybody else to get it. What else did they push to get it? What is this? Why is this not coming up? Move that over there. This over here. Move that right there. Yeah. Oh wait, shit. Come on now. My computer's. There's a lot of stuff up. I need to just kind of let it ease up just a little bit there. Ease up just a little. Alright, we're back. Okay, so what was this about? Pushing right this administered. And then they were going after the indigenous people. Oh, you gotta get it. If you don't, only the white people are getting it. I'm like, fuck, these people just fucking could not stop. It was crazy. And there's this murderer, Cuomo. God, that guy, fuck. Just murderer. The mainstream media continues to push catchphrases, narratives, and talking points, such as COVID cases, surge. From a test that would not create the test was isolated very separately. Yeah, they went after everybody. Oh, here we go. Here's Kerry Mullins. And it's been taken down. Of course it has. Of course it has. This is my point, and I brought it up earlier, it's in my head. The only person besides thousands of virologists and scientists across the world that have proven that the RT-PCR test that Kerry Mullins created and got like the Nobel Prize for it, created should not be used to test for a virus. Oddly died in August, not July, of 2019, just before COVID became the new narrative or the new normal or whatever you want to fucking say. And I went over this chick already, and I went over these numbers already. I think that was the first one I did. Crime rate. Oh look, this is a good one. Vaccine Bill Gates crime record. Vaccine crime record 496,000 paralyzed children in India and more. He's not allowed to go to India, by the way. Because they won't let him in there because of what he's done to a bunch of people. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Indian doctors blame the Gates campaign for devastating vaccine strain epidemic that paralyzed 496,000 children between 2020 and 2017. Wow. The World Health Organization reluctantly admitted that the global polio explosion is predominantly vaccine strain, meaning that it's coming from Gates vaccine. Whoa. Yeah. Are you reading this? What the fuck? This is fucking nuts. And please take the screenshot. I beg of you. Look at that. It's all right there. It's all fucking right here. Ah, 2019 immunization phase 3 trial GSK experiment with malaria vaccine caused 151 of African infants and causing serious adverse effects, including paralysis, seizure, and febrile convulsions to 1,048 negative children. You guys have no... This guy's a fucking monster. That's all verifiable, by the way. Oh, there's Julian Assange. What happened? By the way, where's Julian Assange? Anybody know? Anybody? Bueller? Julian Assange? Anybody? Then I put Trump in office. He started dropping the vaccine. Both will force the vaccine. Here's the difference, though. Biden mandated and made everybody he could take that thing. Trump said, take the vaccine. It works, it works, it works. He was, I don't know why he was so excited about that at the time. I think it was just maybe money, a deal, kickbacks. I'm not sure. He was convinced that it was working, but it wasn't. He was. I think the reason why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is with Donald Trump right now is because he knows. And I'm telling you, the interview with Megyn Kelly and Donald Trump when she said, "I'm vaccine injured," I've never seen him like without words. And he goes, "Fuck." In his mind, I could see it in his head. Fuck. And she said that in the original interview, you got to look at it if you can find it. But he doesn't feel good about it. I know he doesn't feel good about it. I know he's heard a lot of shit about it. He doesn't feel good about it. Right? And here's part of it. Here's a little conundrum. All you Democrats that believe that know that deep down in your hearts that Trump is a lying piece of crap. That was me just not too long ago. Vaccines are moving along fast and safely. Trump administration buys 100 million doses of Moderna vaccine. That was August 11, 2020. Trump administration owns 100 million doses of Pfizer COVID vaccine. That was July 22nd of 2020. And here's the COVID-19 process. This was on the website in 2020. Here it is. Pfizer, bottle. Pfizer, there it is. Operation Warp Speed Vaccine Distribution Process. Wow. It's alarming. And I don't believe they took it. I really
the
don't
Trump
believe it.
administration approves a vaccine before or after the election. Should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it. Absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Yeah, they never took it. I know. Hydroxychloroquine has been the FDA-approved drug for over 65 years. It has been on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines since the list began in 1977. Isn't that weird? This is December 22nd, 2020. Isn't that crazy? All of a sudden, it wasn't good for you. This is absolutely, they're trying to convince you this. For those who are included in taking the vaccines, Moderna especially, tell me, when was the first time an mRNA vaccine was used on human beings? Right? That's right. It was December 2020. Experts know more about the coronavirus vaccine than any other in history, the Surgeon General says. Now, that's was completely false. That's Dirk Bros. Okay. Now, I get what he's saying here. He was in it. This was when he did this December 2020. Yeah, he was on top of this pretty much. He was, for sure. Nurse faints after, remember this chick? Is this still up?
I did, yes. So, all of my staff, we are excited to get the vaccine. We are in the COVID unit, so therefore, my team will be getting first chances to get the vaccine. And I know that it's really I'm sorry.
That was a great advertisement. Here's the most important part, right? All our supposed public servants care so much about us that they are all going to force us all to take and or inject us with a vaccine that we can no longer fight against if there are any negative repercussions, right? The same vaccine that will not provide the ingredients or give us the tested data for 2 years. They wanted to make it 75 years. And then it got down to 5 years, 55 years. And then some judge finally did it for 2 years. The same vaccine that warns you, per the FDA that you could obtain Bell's palsy and all this other shit. You can't sue Pfizer or Moderna if you have severe COVID vaccine side effects. The government likely won't compensate you for your damages either. This is CNBC. Means they're completely indemnified. I'm not going to read all this. Take a screenshot if you have to. I'm just saying. Let me see if I can get that out of the way so you can read it all. Let's see, we got this right here. There's probably some good information in there if you want to look at that. I'm getting a little tired, so I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff in here. Right? She didn't really take it. It was some kind of, they have mishap occurs during her vaccination. Nurse. Like you said, there's proof things new. They were going to enforce it on us, the military. Deaths overdose deaths outpace COVID-19 deaths in 17. Yeah, it's good because people are fucking freaking out. And then they went after kids under 11 years old. I'm like, what are you doing? And people are fucking freaking out about that, and all of a sudden everybody's fine with it. Yeah, that's all right. Give it to your kid. Right? This is what your kids used to do, and then they were locked down. Right? This is what they turn your kids into. It's so sad to watch that. I was a part of that. I was watching Eli, Stevie's son, just a wonderful kid, just a beautiful kid. And you could see it in their eyes. You could see it when they were at home. They like being with you. Mom's here, I get it. But they need to be around others. They need to be, socializing, out in the sun, playing, exercising, digging in the dirt, playing, splashing in the water, And I kept telling everybody, resist the reset, because it was real. And then I tried to get people out there to march, but nobody understood that part. Yeah, there's a lot of information I have on this. I'm just letting you know. There's a ton of fucking information that I have, and if you ever want to see it, this is on Maui. Oh God, I've got a ton of information on Maui that just points to just absolute complicity, not neglect. And then I talk about mass formation psychosis and how they got people this guy right here, Stallmer was his name, I believe. He was on Jimmy Dore talking about how they were getting people to. What's interesting, and I think people need to realize this, is if you go to a dealership, let's just say you're going out to buy a car for the weekend, and some of you may understand this because I've bought many cars in my time, and you go out there to buy a car, and you start on Friday night. You know what, honey? We're going to go out, we're going to get you that fucking SUV, we're going to get you whatever. But I want to go to at least 3 or 4 dealerships this time. I don't want to get taken by the first or the second one, right? So you go to the first one, you battle, you get a price, it's not there, but at least you're making your stance. You get to the second one, and the guy sells you. Right? I have to tell you, and people won't understand this because it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. I think that's paraphrasing by Jarvis or by Darwin. Is that Darwin? No. Mark Twain, I meant to say. And Jarvis is his buddy. They always stuck together. But the thing that I'm saying is advertising and marketing is very powerful. And many people are easily swayed, easily manipulated. That couple that went to the dealership didn't have a chance. Somebody fucked up at the first dealership, but usually you're not going to make it to your 4th or 5th dealership for the weekend. It's just not going to happen. They're good. And there's so much psychology behind it. There's so much, it's just, you can't, it's a battle. I'm telling you. Other marketing tricks. There's all kinds of marketing tricks. I've showed you all the marketing tricks. Right? So this is supposed to be Social Media Saturday, but I really kind of didn't go through so much social media. I like this guy, though. Tim Kramer.
Don't you see the irony? The government employees who refuse to show up to work are now showing up to work to protest that they've lost their jobs for not showing up to work. That's irony.
You're watching the Kramer Says Project.
Don't you?
That guy's classic. There's just so much. It's just craziness. I told everybody I was going to be on Montauk tonight. You know what? I'm going to do it tomorrow night too. Not tomorrow night. Got to post. Wait. This code. I'm already on it. It's done. I'm just moving it to trash. Okay, here we go. That food babe chick's doing some good stuff.
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend them with you. But they're never. If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I...
You know, it sucks. I probably get a fucking... That's what I hate about fucking Instagram. They put their stupid fucking music in there. Once the cows are gone, we'll be fine. There you go. Oh, you know what? That's really weird is today, and I'm going to end with this. Remember this again. I gotta. Let me see if I can post this and it'll come up. You know, see what I got here. Yep. See if I can get it up on. There it is, right there. So I found this really strange. That. Come on. I'll put. Now, what is that? Now, let me see if I can post that. I might take a while. But I went out to my truck to go to work today. Right, worked 10 hours, 10 hours, man. And I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Oh, it's not coming up. Let's see if it posts. Photos, your photos. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. And it rained, but there's this weird filament on everybody's car and my window. Well, what the fuck is this shit rain crap? Right? What is this stuff? Look at it. Just there's I had my windows down a little bit at the time, but I jumped out. I go, wait, what the fuck is all this shit? All I gotta say, hey, Snarkaber, we were forced to take it all, go to jail. We're not giving the option just to quit. We lost so many of our staff that it almost seemed like we were given a bad batch to kill us. Oh my God! Wow. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened, but there's a lot of people like my daughter in the military had to take it, or they would take away her job, and she couldn't. She just, you know, she's high up on the rankings. She's doing really good. People like Snork here, prominent engineer that teaches at a college, and so many other people that got fucked to take that thing. It just pisses me off. And they knew it in some way it was going to not be good. It just fucked up, man. Anyway, Snark, I'm going to be on tomorrow night. Just let you know if you got anything you want to go over, say for tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow night or Monday. I don't know. It depends on if I go golfing. I know I'm going to my daughter's. We're having food. We're going to be hanging out tomorrow night. But it's good to hear from you, buddy. Thank you for being on the show. Anybody watching, I'm just letting you know. If you want to help donate to the cause, down below to keep the show going. It'll help me get more information, dig a little deeper, get Monday better. Okay, that's fine. Monday, same as Monday. And we'll, you know, it helps keep the lights on and stuff like that. And then, you know, if anybody out there wants to, except for Snork and other people that are the usual, I'm talking about new or anybody, you know, whatever you can to keep the lights on and the internet going and the megabytes per second moving keeps me motivated, but I'll still do it. That's the thing about me, right? I can be like dirt poor, but I still want to help, right? And not to brag, but I'm that guy. If you're pulled over on the freeway and your car's stuck, I'll fucking help push you off the road or do whatever I can. I don't know. It's just something. It's just like in my blood. I don't know what the fuck it is. Some people call it stupid. I've had this one chick I was riding with one time, while back. What are you doing? I went, well, they're stuck in the middle of the freeway. This is an 8-lane freeway, and I'm just trying to get them off the road. And I go, dude, you trying to die? I go, no, I'm just gonna push this car off the road real quick. So I put the hazards on. I said, get in the car and just meet me over there. And just stay behind us with the hazards on. And I pushed this little old lady off of the road. And I've done it several times. I just do that shit. I'll do it to this day. You know, I'm fucking 61 years old and I'm proud of it. And I made it this far. By golly. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you. Mahalo, aloha, and please like, subscribe, and share. This is James with Monotalk.